Today's lesson is on FOIL, or multiplying binomials together. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to multiply two expressions together where each expression has two terms. And that's why we call it a binomial, because bi means two, like bicycle has two tires. Binomials have two terms. So one term, two terms, one term, two terms. So we're going to learn how to multiply these together. And remember, when you have parentheses like this next to each other, that means multiply. Now there's two techniques that are used. The first is simply called FOIL. And you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with this from your past. The F stands for first. The O stands for outside. The I stands for inside. And the L stands for last. So this is the order that you use when you multiply these together. So F stands for first. Well, it's asking you to multiply the first term in each binomial. So x times x. And of course, x times x is x squared. So those two are the first terms. The O stands for the outside terms. The outside terms are the x term and the 7. They are on the outside of the problem. So I'm going to multiply those two together. Again, O stands for outside. So x times 7, 7x, so that's positive. The I stands for the inside two terms. And that's this one and this one. They're in the middle of the binomials, on the inside. Okay? So I'm going to multiply those two together. 5 times x is 5x. And the L stands for the last two terms. The last two terms are this one and this one. So the last term of this binomial and the last term of this one. So 5 times 7 is 35. Frequently, when we're multiplying binomials together, the O and the I terms, the outside and the inside terms, or the middle two terms here, will end up being like terms, meaning I can add them together. And 7x and 5x are like terms because they both have an x. So 7x plus 5x would be 12x. X squared is not a like term with x. Okay? In order to be like terms, you have to have the same power and the same letter. And of course, the power on this one, on this x, is just a 1. But we do not write that 1 usually. So that would be my answer. That is using the FOIL technique. Another technique that you may use is called the box technique. This is actually a pretty popular technique to use. And if you understand both, you're even in better shape. For the box technique, what you do is you write the binomials on the sides of a rectangle that looks like this. So I make a box, or a big rectangle, and I divide it into 4 parts. I write the first term, x plus 5, on top of the 2 rectangles on this side, and I write the x plus 7 down the side. So this is the x plus 5 term, this is the x plus 7 term. And now I simply multiply and figure out what would be inside each box. So this box would be x times x, it's x squared. This box would be 5 times this x, so that's 5x. This box would be x times 7, which is 7x. And this last box would be 7 times 5 is 35. Again, I end up with the diagonal being a like term. 7x and 5x are like terms. So my final answer would be x squared, add the 7x and the 5x, which is 12x, and then plus 35. It is exactly the same answer we got with FOIL. So either technique is fine. Some people get confused by FOIL and the box makes more sense. Some people don't like the box and the FOIL makes more sense. It is truly your, whatever you're most comfortable with is fine. If you understand how to do both of them, That's even better. Let's try this example. Let's use FOIL first. So it's going to be first, outside, inside, last. Some people write the word above where they're going to do the problem. And then F stands for first, so first term in each binomial. X times x is x squared. That frequently happens. O stands for the outside 2. This is an outside term. That's an outside term. So 9 times x is 9x. Inside I stands for the inside 2 terms, so these two. 8 times x is 8x. And L stands for the last terms. 8 times 9, the last term of each binomial, is 72. And of course, those two are like terms. So adding 9 and 8 gives me 17x, and then 72. That would be my final answer. If you wish to do it using the box technique, I would write x plus 8 across the top, x plus 9 across the side, x times x is x squared, x times 8 is 8x, 9 times x is 9x, and 9 times 8 is 72. Again, the diagonals will be like terms, so adding 9 and 8 gives me 17x plus 72. Now, you do not have to do this problem in 2 ways, okay? Pick the way you like the best and just do that one. I'm not expecting you to do each problem twice. Now, the major change on this third example is that instead of both terms being positive like they were here, x plus 8 and x plus 9, this one has an x minus 5, okay? I can still use FOIL. First stands for x times x is x squared. Again, that's most likely what's going to happen. O is outside, so x and 8 is 8x. The I, when I do the inside, is negative 5 times x, and the negative goes with the 5. So negative 5 times x is negative 5x. So now it's going to look like a subtraction problem here. And negative 5 times 8 is negative 40. So a common mistake I see kids make is they forget that this negative is included with the 5. And they go, 8 times 5 is plus 40. But that negative sign must stay with the 5, so it's negative 5 times 8, which is negative 40. Again, these two are like terms. Be careful, because it's 8x minus 5x, which is 3x, and then minus 40. Must be careful with the negative signs on these problems, because if you don't carry down that negative sign, it'll be wrong. This may be done with the box technique as well. So I'd write, now the x minus 5, I would write that up here as an x here and negative 5 here. And then the x and the 8 go here. And I should say it doesn't matter if you wanted to write the x plus 8 on top and the x and the negative 5 on the side, that is totally fine. Okay? The order doesn't matter. What matters is that when you write the 8 down, you keep it positive, and when you write the 5 down, it keeps it negative. Anyway, x times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. 8 times x is 8x. And 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. Again, the diagonals are like terms. If you want to circle them, that helps. But I add those together, and I get exactly the same answer I got before. Moving on to the second side, so flip your sheet over. Here's one where both terms are negative. So we just have to be careful. So F stands for first, of course. X times x is x squared. O stands for outside. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. I stands for inside. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And L stands for last. Negative 6 times negative 7 is positive 42. Remember, a negative times a negative is positive. Like terms in the middle. Now, negative 7x minus 6 more x is negative 13x. And then plus 42. Of course, I can quickly show the box. We have x and negative 6 on top. x and negative 7 across the side. I'm going to put a plus 42 there for emphasis. A negative times a negative is positive. Again, I have like terms. A common mistake kids make is they think when they're adding these like terms, since they're both negative, it becomes positive, but that's only when you're multiplying. Here, we're adding like terms. So negative 7 and negative 6 makes negative 13. So be careful. Here's another example where one's positive, one's negative. So f first would be x squared. Outside is the x and negative 7. Inside is 3 and x. Last is negative 3 times negative 7. Like terms in the middle. Negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4x minus 21. So be cautious when you're adding positives and negatives together. Make sure you end up with the right sign. We're allowed to use the box on these as well. So it'd be x squared, 3x, negative 7x, negative 21. Like terms. There we go. One last example. Let's use FOIL first. X times x is x squared. Outside is x times negative 5. Inside is negative 4 times x. And last is negative 4 times negative 5, which is positive 20. Like terms. Again, remember, we're adding these together, not multiplying. So it's not a negative times a negative makes a positive. This is a negative plus a negative means my answer is negative still. And if you want to see this with the box, we'd have x and negative 4, x and negative 5. So it's x squared minus 4x minus 5x plus 20. Like terms in the middle. Okay. Again, pick one of the two methods, either FOIL or box, or do half with FOIL, half with the box. But you don't have to do the problems twice. Okay. Just pick one of the methods for each problem. And again, if you can do both, that's an advantage.